What's the deal with AWS Cognito and federated logins? Hey guys, it's Mike from Bumble Parrot. If you're thinking about using AWS Cognito in your app, watch this video first. I'm going to be showing you what it looks like in your app with various options so that you can make an informed decision before you spend a bunch of time trying to integrate this capability into your app. I'm going to break it down to you in three sections. What are federated logins and why should we use them? What is AWS Cognito? And then I'm going to walk you through what these options look like in a working app. Federated logins are just a fancy way of saying sign in with Apple, Google, Facebook, or any other account that your users already have. As a developer, you want to provide a sign in with option because it's convenient and it's one less account that your users have to create. Haven't you ever downloaded an app and when it forces you to create a brand new account, you give up and just delete the app altogether? Having a sign up with option makes the sign up process in your app easier and gets your users into your app faster. In 2020, users expect it. In fact, the iOS App Store requires it if you're going to be providing sign in with Google or sign in with Facebook or any other login provider. AWS Cognito is Amazon Web Services' one stop shop for user creation and login. The SDK supports all major platforms, including Android, iOS, and web. It's free to use for the first 50,000 monthly active users, which shouldn't be a problem because if you have 50,000 monthly active users, you're probably willing to pay a little bit of money for the next 50,000 users. When getting started with AWS Cognito, the most confusing part is deciding between a user pool and an identity pool. Both are types of pools, and don't users have identities? Oh, and not only that, both pools support federated logins. So, what? So, what is the difference, and why would you choose one over the other? After much experimentation, the real question you have to ask yourself is how native of an experience do you want to give your users? And by native, I mean, do you want full control of the sign up and sign in experience? If yes, you probably want to go with an identity pool because it gives you a very native experience that you can fully control. If no, you probably want to go with a user pool because it comes with a built-in UI and it's probably the easiest to get set up. Here I'm going to show you a few options when using AWS Cognito in your app so you can decide if this is the experience you want for your users. Let's jump right in. Here's a demo app that I built that illustrates a number of the options when using AWS Cognito in your app and what it will look like for your users. First up, we'll be taking a look at the drop-in UI. It has a nice native slide up, but there's two major issues with the drop-in UI. One, you pretty much get what you see. You can change a few things like the logo, you can change the background color, and the primary sign-in button color, but everything else you get is exactly as it is. You get a quick sign-in screen, you get a create a brand new account screen, and you get a forgot your password screen. The second issue with the drop-in UI is that it does not support the federated logins that we've been talking about this whole time. Next up, we have the hosted UI. It's a little different than the drop-in UI, but it does provide the federated logins that we want. The first thing you'll notice when clicking it is that it opens up a little prompt that tells the user they want to go to amazoncognito.com to sign in. Clicking that opens up Amazon's hosted UI. The hosted UI is very similar to the drop-in UI, but it's actually hosted on a web page. You get options for federated sign-ins for Apple, Google, Facebook, and all the rest. You do have a little bit of control over what this looks like as far as color scheme and logo. You can update a little bit of the sizing for the buttons, but that's about it. You get a sign up link that looks like that. You get a sign in link that looks like so. And there is also a built in forgot password experience. Next up, we have a variation on the hosted UI, which allows a direct path to the login provider's website. Clicking on the hosted UI but going direct to Facebook still opens up a little prompt that tells the user that you're going to go to amazoncognito.com to sign in. Now, you can change that URL, but it'll never say facebook.com because really what you're doing here is taking the user to that hosted UI and then immediately taking them to facebook.com. So when the user clicks continue here, they get redirected instantly to facebook.com and they never see the Amazon hosted UI site that we saw previously. Clicking on the hosted UI and going direct to Google provides a similar experience where you'll still see the prompt to go to amazoncognito.com. But when you click continue, you will land directly on the sign in with Google website, which is familiar to your users and shouldn't be that big of a deal. Using the hosted UI and going direct to Apple does provide an even more native experience thanks to the Safari browser's integration with Sign In with Apple. Clicking on it does still open the prompt to go to amazoncognito.com to sign in, but when you click continue, the next screen the user sees is what they would expect. This is what the native sign in with Apple screens look like. You're able to change your name, you can share and hide your email, and when you click continue, it does a quick Face ID check, and then you'll be in. Those are the 5 experiences you get out of the box when using AWS Cognito. The drop-in UI doesn't support federated logins, so that's not what we want. The hosted UI does support federated logins. However, it does take the user to a weird website, and that website, you don't really have much control over how it looks, how it feels, or how it works. Now, a little bit of a shortcut is to use the hosted UI with the full direct to the provider's login page. However, you still get that weird prompt that says the user needs to go to Amazon Cognito to sign in. That's really weird for the user and not the best experience. In the little prompt that shows up to your user that says they need to go to amazoncognito.com to sign in, you can change that domain. However, it'll be a domain that you own. It'll never say apple.com, google.com, or facebook.com. And I think that's what the users expect when they click on a link that says sign in with Google. They expect to land on Google's sign in page. I wasn't satisfied with any of those options that we just went through. So I did some more digging and looking through the code, there is a way to get an even more native experience. Let me show you what that looks like. Here I'm going to be showing you the same 3 options. However, the feel is going to be way more native as we won't have any weird websites, we won't have any weird domains in the pop-up, and the user will land on the provider that they clicked on just like they would expect. Clicking the button that says native and going direct to Facebook now has a better pop up that says they want to sign in to facebook.com. Now, the user is going to see that, they're going to trust where they're going, they're going to be more likely to hit continue. Going and clicking continue will open up the facebook.com sign in page just like the user expects. The same approach was made for Google, where clicking native and going direct to Google opens up a prompt and it'll say, we're going to take the user to google.com, which is what the user would expect. Clicking continue takes them to the sign in to google.com webpage, and all is good here. And down at the bottom, we have Apple's sign in with the pure native integration. Clicking on it doesn't even prompt for the user to go to any weird website anymore. It opens up the sign in with Apple tray right from the bottom, just like the user expects, and they can continue on from there. The 3 native approaches that I just showed you still will sign your user into AWS Cognito services, allowing access to all your app's features. I've shown you the various experiences you can get with AWS Cognito, and it's pretty obvious that the native approach that I've showed in the end is the better way to go. However, it does come with some drawbacks. The drawbacks to the native experience that I did show does come when it's time to refresh the access for the user. And what I mean by that is when users use sign in with, the data expires after like an hour, or in Apple's case, 10 minutes, and you have to relog that user back in. Now, in a normal world, that relogin happens invisibly to the user because you've already given access. However, when you use AWS Cognito, you have to show the window up just for a second, just for it to go back away. That's a really weird experience, and it could be a showstopper for most people. In our exploration, we did find a few bugs with AWS Cognito services, particularly with sign in with Apple. Now, sign in with Apple requires that the tokens get refreshed every 10 minutes. And in AWS Cognito's world, they don't refresh the tokens for you. So, what that means is you'd have to show the prompt to say sign in back again every 10 minutes in your app. That doesn't make any sense. I think that's like unusable and a showstopper if you have to include sign in with Apple in your app. A second bug we discovered was related to how the SDK loads the configuration file. That's a little bit too technical for this video, but it is posted on the AWS GitHub, and we're waiting for a response on that bug. And that's it. And that's the options you get when you use AWS Cognito in your iOS app and you want to provide federated logins. I hope this video gave you the insight you needed before you decide to use AWS Cognito with federated logins in your app. And I hope it saves you a bunch of time so that you can make the decision that is right for your app. If you found this video helpful, hit subscribe, like, and comment, and I can make more videos just like this.